Joining me right now, Professor of Korean Studies at Tufts University, Sung-Yoon Lee, former Director of Korea, Japan, and Oceanic Affairs under President Bush and Obama, Sumi Terry, also Senior Fellow for the Federation of American Scientists, Atom Mount. All right, big welcome to all three of you once again. Expectation time to all of you. Sue, your expectations for this meeting, how much have they changed and developed based on the information, based on the level of detail in preparation? How long do you think this will go?
Well, we'll soon find out. It's unclear. President Trump kept saying that he's the greatest deal maker on the planet. We'll soon find out because thus far he's been breaking deals, pulling out of Trans-Pacific Partnership, the climate change deal, and the Iran Accord. So we'll see. And if he doesn't come out of this meeting with more than just a vague joint statement about denuclearization and for normalization, that's not a success. A success would mean we would have to have Kim Jong-un absolutely declare his intention to denuclearize as we define it, complete, verifiable, irreversible dismantlement of their nuclear weapons program. They need to agree to a very robust regime verification regime in North Korea and a timetable for that. So that's going to be very tough. And even if you get that agreement, of course, the true tough part is after the agreement, because we have agreements with North Korea. We had it in the past, many agreements, and every single agreement fell apart over verification and implementation. But we're about to find out President Trump's true negotiating, whether he's the greatest negotiator on the planet, as he claims.
Sung-Yoon, a lot has been made about the president's preparation, his methods, at least, for this meeting. And as someone who has worked for both the Bush and Obama administrations, do you think President Trump is ready for this?
I'm not sure. As far as posturing goes, President Trump saying that it'll take him just 1 minute to size up Kim Jong-un. He'll use his feel and gut. And Kim Jong-un saying basically, oh, I'm very busy. I have a flight to catch. I'm going to give you all of 3 hours, 9 to noon, then head out for the airport. I think Kim Jong-un's posturing is more convincing, more effective. However, North Korea is very good at putting on highly choreographed but impromptu-looking dramatic acts. So I would not be surprised if Kim Jong-un, say tomorrow, asks President Trump to play with him a round of golf. Sentosa Country Club is lovely. And what will President Trump say? No, I'm too busy preparing for my meeting with you tomorrow. They will. And Kim Jong-un might even have a beer in the hotel bar with Dennis Rodman at the end of a long working day, thus showing the world who's in charge, trying to exude confidence and gravitas. North Korea is not to be taken lightly.
To that end, Sung-Yoon, when you say highly choreographed but rather impromptu looking, it struck me as Bill Neely was reporting and even describing Sentosa Island itself as being Asia's Switzerland. When you hearken back to World War II, Switzerland was neutral country. This was not chosen by chance. The fact that these two leaders of the different countries arrived in separate locations, completely independent of one another, yet afforded the exact same treatment with whom they were met, the kind of delegations that met them, it would appear that they are trying to do everything possible to make sure, in terms of choreography, that neither of the leaders cross paths before Tuesday morning. How important do you think that is? How important is it that Singapore has weighed in on this and is very precision-oriented with the choreography?
It's very important to all three nations, that is the host nation, Singapore, and the U.S. and North Korea, because Sentosa Island is really, truly lovely, but it's a bit cordoned off from the rest of the nation, which is quite convenient in terms of blocking out any would-be protesters, human rights activists. Of course, North Korea's crimes against humanity, according to the UN, has no parallel in the contemporary world. The island also has a very nice history museum, which accentuates Japanese atrocity, and that would play very well if if Kim Jong-un were to visit the museum tomorrow, because it's all about anti-U.S. imperialism, it's all about anti-Japanese sentiment in North Korea. But I see Kim and Trump meeting, and then I see a bonhomous embrace, handshake, and each party claiming victory.
Yes, thank you so much for that. And with my apologies, I want to correct myself and say that Sumi Terry is the one who worked under both the Obama and Bush administrations. But right now, as I speak with you, Adam, what is it that you think the president should be most wary of while negotiating with Kim Jong-un?
Denuclearization remains the central issue of these talks. It's been downplayed in recent months as the president has walked back very assertive early statements, but that's still the core of these negotiations. And the indications here are pretty consistent from the North Koreans. They have not budged from the line that they proposed at the beginning of this year. Their view is they're a sophisticated nuclear weapons state meeting now with the President of the United States. They think that they gained this meeting as the result of testing a nuclear-capable intercontinental ballistic missile. So the question now is, denuclearization is unlikely in the near term. They still value these weapons. Verification would be exceptionally difficult. From their perspective, the question is, are there very limited, vague denuclearization claims, as Dr. Terry mentioned? I think it's plausible we get some symbolic steps on dismantlement of, for example, certain test facilities. Will the president hold them to the strict standards of verification for these measures? And then what is the president willing to give up in exchange for a vague promise? I'm highly concerned that the president doesn't appropriately classify what counts as a concession in these circumstances. There are some indications that he would like to discuss removal or downsizing of U.S. forces on the peninsula, that he wants to declare an end to the Korean War for optical reasons, for political reasons. We need to be clear that those are concessions of American leverage. They should come at the appropriate time. They're premature now. So our focus here should be on verifiable caps on North Korea's nuclear program and not on political optics.
Sumi, I want to ask you the extent to which you believe North Korean officials are looking at the fallout, and I think there's no other way to categorize it rather than as being fallout in the wake of the G7 summit. The president has actually refused the United States to add its signature to the joint communique from that summit. And yet there were smiles, there were handshakes, there were accolades while face-to-face in those meetings in Quebec. There were jokes as well. There was an underscoring of a bit of tension. To what extent do you think the chairman will look at that and think to himself, how much can I trust this president's word? How much can I trust this president's signature on a piece of paper?
Well, I'm not sure it's actually the fallout of G7 is really affecting Kim Jong-un's mind. Just like I don't really believe that Trump scrapping the Iran deal really made Kim Jong-un distrust the United States. North Koreans distrust us for their own reasons. They believe in the 1994 agreed framework fell apart because of the change in administration. And North Korea thinks they're so exceptional and different. I don't know if their fallout is going to be that great. My concern from the fallout of the G7 is how the allies are treated by President Trump. My concern has more to do with what Adam has been saying. Like, would President Trump conclude a peace treaty that undermines the rationale for U.S.-South Korea alliance and for our troop presence in South Korea? Would President Trump conclude a deal with Kim Jong-un that, for example, on intercontinental ballistic missile, but not on short range or medium missiles that protects Japan or that threatens Japan and South Korea? Because clearly what he has shown is that he doesn't truly care about allies or how he treats the allies. So that's my concern in terms of fallout of G7 meeting.
All right, Sumi Terry, Sun-Young Lee, and Adam Mount, I want to thank all of you for your expertise and lending it to us here on MSNBC in this breaking news coverage. Many thanks.